What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Served on the Rocks, brought to you by the Mile High Perspective. I'm Jameson Amaros.
Oscar Ibarra.
And as always, we are here to give you guys a unique viewpoint on lending, real estate, and bourbon. Today we have actually a really cool episode. I am joined, for those of you guys watching at home, by two gentlemen over here to my right, Oscar's left. We've got Michael Jessen and Collin Keenan, and we will get introductions from these gentlemen. They are here to kind of help us go through what I think is going to be a fun topic, VA loans.
Yeah, I can't call him Michael. I was
that's right.
part of Cardis, and they engraved in me that I had to call him by his military ranking, so it'll be General Jessen. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
General Jessen.
Just to keep everything kosher. Now this guy, I don't know what I'm gonna call him.
He doesn't need
it. We can give a title.
Yeah, just make up a title real quick. What's yours? For the VA episode.
I'm going to be Commodore Keenan.
Commodore Keenan.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm still
like
it.
Sounds like something.
I'd rather
Harry
have
Potter,
your pronouns,
but,
please.
Oh, that's awesome. So to give you guys kind of an idea of what we're talking about today, we want to walk you through what a VA loan looks like. And we wanted to do it from the perspective of an active duty military member and from a loan officer standpoint, and give you guys some good information on what to expect, different hurdles, how to apply, where to get the information, so that you guys, if you are active duty and you guys are going through the VA process for the first time, if you guys have gone through it before and it's been a while, we want to be able to answer all of those questions for you guys. And these gentlemen today are here to help us out. So
make it a little bit easier for you.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a hard process. A lot of people just get scared, and your benefits are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You served, or you're still serving, and they're there for you.
Yeah, and we say it all the time, right? Knowledge is power. That's why
Absolutely.
we do this podcast. And
100%.
to have you gentlemen on to give us some of your knowledge is going to be extremely fun. We were looking at some stats earlier. I was talking to Michael. Sorry, General.
Yeah, you call him Michael. I'm going to call him General. Just
and
respect.
Out of some of the things we looked up, so Colorado is the 11th most densely populated state in the nation when it comes to military members.
Yep.
We have almost 640 per 100,000 residents, and we've got Buckley Air Force Base, Shriver, Peterson, the Air Force Academy, Fort Carson. So it's something that it comes up a lot. Oscar over here has done a ton of VA loans in his career, both from a lending standpoint back in the early 2000s and then as a realtor as well. So, hopefully you guys take something from us and let us know, if there's some information that you want us to touch on next time, we can always do a one-off as well. But to get started, I want to let these gentlemen introduce themselves. So Michael, if you want to go and let the people know who you are, man.
All right. Yeah. General Jessen here. No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Active duty. Started in the Air Force, went to the Space Force, hunting down aliens. But
have you caught any?
Can't tell you that.
No, I don't think so. Damn,
I've used the VA loan twice now in my short time in the military. It's a great benefit for military members. It's something that, again, Oscar touched on it. It's an entitlement. Take advantage of it. It definitely is for somebody early on in their lives, their career. It's a great way to get started. So
yeah, we talk about leverage, and VA loans give you a ton of leverage, which we'll get into here in a little bit.
And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I didn't get to serve. Long story behind that. A lot of my friends are military. I want to say 90% of any of my charity work goes to the veterans because of you and them. Mm-hmm. We get to do this.
Yep.
We're here because of them.
Exactly.
Amen.
It holds dear to my heart.
Yep. Collin, what about you? Introduce them to yourself.
Hi, my name's Collin Keenan. I work with New American Funding. I've done multiple VA loans, and by far my favorite loan to do, because there's so many benefits to a VA loan. That's definitely well deserved for our military members. So I'm super excited to talk about this topic, and it's definitely going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. It's like Oscar said, thank you for your service. And
thank you,
any of you guys watching, thank you for your service. It's something that
absolutely
we take for granted, except for those couple days of the year that it gets recognized, rightfully so. But I think it's something that, it's always top of mind. And, we talk about, we were talking about how the Russia-Ukraine war affects the real estate market. Well, like Oscar said, we can talk about that because of any of the active duty and retired families, everybody that's gone through it. So
take something we do for granted and try to do it in another country, you're going to lose a hand, finger, or your head.
Yep, exactly.
But because of our military, we get to do what we
all we do is we fight against appraisers, which compared to enemy combatants, it's pretty easy. So I think
We
we
had to
can
bring
take
up
advantage of
appraisers.
that, right?
Gotta give you laundry
well,
list of those.
Have you guys
Guys.
watched the show before?
Of course.
Beautiful. So you guys know that we do a bourbon review.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
See,
That's
we
why
trick
I'm
people
here.
to come on this podcast.
Wait, we're talking about real estate or something?
You know, we'll
Like, come
see.
drink some bourbon with
Yeah.
us. By the way, we're gonna ask you some
Yeah,
real estate
exactly.
questions.
We actually need some information from you guys, but yes, we're gonna do bourbon. So we have George Dickel today, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab the bottle real quick.
Well, he grabs a bottle. This bourbon whiskey is an interesting one for me. I had my best friend that passed away a few years back. It was his go-to when we couldn't find anything else. He would just say, "Let's go get a little Dickel."
Little Dickel, and
So yeah, a little George Dickel, and if you go to the Midwest or the South, they actually sell it pre-made with cola.
Really?
Dickel and cola.
at like a gas station.
Yeah.
That
Liquor
is-
stores, gas stations, just like Jack and Coke, is Dickel and cola.
So it
down
just
there.
comes in a can.
It comes in a can, ready to go.
Wow.
You rock and roll.
That sounds like my
But
kind of
George
bourbon.
Dickel's.
I was gonna say Colin's cowboy boots are ready for that.
Yeah.
We'll let the stat guy give you more information. But after about 40 years from the Declaration of Independence was signed, this thing came into play.
Yeah.
And it's quite the rebel amongst the whiskeys.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, again, we talked about this all the time, right? One of the reasons we like doing bourbon reviews is because of the story. And they all have a different story. So these guys, they were created, George Dickel was distilling on his own in 1870. So like Oscar said, 40 years after the Declaration of Independence. He opened the first distillery in Tennessee in 1878. This is a sour mash whiskey. So it's a little bit different of a mash bill than what we've normally had before. 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. How much was this bottle? Do you remember?
You could find Dickel between $20 to $30
Yeah.
too. Like
So-
$20. It's not an expensive.
Yeah, another accessible whiskey that, hopefully this one goes better than Old Granddad. If
Oh,
you guys
Old
watched the
Granddad. You know
episode
what?
a couple weeks ago.
I hope it's more towards the larceny side. And again, the mash bill is going to be different.
Yes.
Most bourbons, 51% corn.
Yep.
And then it's going to be rye, wheat, heavily wheated or whatever it goes.
Yep.
And what's the mash bill on this? Do you know?
On this one, I don't believe it had it on there. I want to say it was close to
Yeah,
51%.
like I said, a little bit of a rebel. They
Yeah.
have whiskey without the E. They're like, we're going to bring that. What's up?
Yeah, it's whiskey.
Whiskey.
I don't even know how to.
Well, there was enough
Silent
E's in
E.
George.
Whiskey.
Silent E, right?
Yeah.
George Dickel, they were like, there's enough E's. We're going to take it out of whiskey.
Yeah, their whole website is devoid
And
of
we couldn't
E's.
find any awards or anything.
Except
like
for
that. That's what-
George himself. The man's got 3 in his first and last name.
And
So it's
Tennessee's
what we-
on there. So they were like, too many fucking E's. Let's take one
like,
out.
You know what? There's too many E's. The one cool thing, so every time we do a bourbon review, usually they have a very specific way that they distill it. These guys actually chill their bourbon at 40 degrees because they believed that the best whiskey was made during the winter months.
And
it
made for a
it
mellow
smoother.
sip.
Yep, exactly. So what they do is they chill this at 40 degrees, then they run it through a charcoal filter. So according to George Dickel, master of the E's, it should be a very mellow sipping, not a ton of burn to it. And that is why we are here to try it. So I'm going to pour you gentlemen some. And
From the
Sweet.
Cascade
Got it,
Hills. That's
Cascade.
Yeah, so it's
Hall, right?
the
Cascade
distillery is Cascade Distillery, Cascade Hills, and it's made from the freshest waters of the Cascade Springs. Kind of like, it's kind of like Coors, right?
So not water.
Yeah, only
from,
the freshest will
Palestine,
do.
Ohio.
only the freshest will do.
Yeah.
We have a lot of pours today.
Yeah, I know. See, this is taking about 7 minutes longer. So if you guys are still
Okay.
watching, thanks for still
I'm sure we'll
joining us.
edit it a little bit faster.
If not, this is good.
It's more like ASMR. I usually do this up against the microphone.
Gotta get the producer.
Yeah.
And Charlie's behind the scenes today. He's here. He's just behind the scenes. He's gonna be the hand of
The hand of God.
God.
God always needs whiskey.
Exactly. All right, boys. So
Cheers.
Cheers. And
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you
Can't
for
wait
being here.
to,
Thank you.
taste this whiskey.
not going to lie, first thing I noticed is the color.
Yeah.
It's very amberish,
Yeah.
right?
Very light.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have that burn on the nose either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's very light.
It is very light. It's it hits you with everything it has up front,
Mhm.
and then it just kind of lingers, but it doesn't. What was the proof on this?
40?
40.
Sorry, 80. 40%.
40% alcohol.
Yeah, 40 proof. It's basically
So I do
it's
get
a Coors Light of whiskey.
that it is. It really is.
Yeah.
It ends and it's just you.
There's a little sweetness.
The sour just lingers afterwards.
There's a little sweetness to it. It doesn't have a burn up front.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it speaks to my soul. When we talk about being light like Coors Light, as I do love Coors Light.
Easy. They're no longer here. They're in Milwaukee, so we're not getting sponsored. Maybe. I don't know.
Now he's a Bud Light fan.
He's like, screw that. I like Bud Light.
Wow, that really ruined my day.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I love it. This light whiskeys and easy whiskeys to drink are my favorite. So, especially one without an E, it's more simple the better.
It kind of hits with a little bit of caramel, like a hint up front, and then it just goes sour for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I love it. I like it.
Yeah.
Light. Haven't tasted the caramel yet. I got to taste some more.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden in the initial burn a little bit.
Right.
I think. I mean, it's easy to drink.
Right. And again, we always throw out the caveat that it takes a while. I mean, we've tasted enough to where we could pull out the. It's not like it's flavorful and candy. It's more for me the way I explain how I taste bourbons is how you smell. Yeah. Right. Like when you're mowing the lawn and it's glass clippings, you don't taste the glass. Taste it, but if
I
you
hope you
taste
taste glass clippings either, because
you've
run over something you probably shouldn't run over.
Grass clippings. But you if someone tastes like grass clippings, you're like, oh, it tastes like grass clippings because of the smell. That's kind of how I taste bourbon or whiskey or whatever.
No, I agree. I'm a little disappointed. I don't get that.
Shut up! Don't do it. It doesn't.
Whiskey.
Just don't.
Creamy mouthfeel.
No, it's more like a Clorox wipe feel.
Does this rags feel different?
Yeah, just cleans the palate and just fucking move on.
Yeah, it's not bad. So we'll continue sipping on it, and if you guys are watching from home or listening, by all means, tag along. This is $20-$30, easily accessible. So we want to do another whiskey that was, you guys can go pick up really anywhere, and not have to look too hard. So. Awesome, guys. Well, as we get into the episode, I just want to give you a little bit of a structure as far as what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to walk you through essentially the beginning of the loan to the end of the loan and some touch points in between. So the way that we're going to look at it, for those of you guys following along, is we're going to look at, how do you find your VA info? What are some resources that you can use as an active duty member of the military that is looking for where to go? Is it a one-stop shop? Are there websites? We're going to go through that.
Active duty and non-active duty.
We're also going to go through the regulations on VA loans because they are different than something like a conventional loan, and there's reasons for that. We're going to go through the documentation required and maybe some different things that you can get prepared early if you're in the process so that the process goes a little bit smoother. And then with any loan, and I feel with VA loans, because of some of the rules and regulations, there are some quirks and some different hurdles that you'll experience that you may not experience with an FHA or a conventional. And we're going to talk about that too. So I think what I'd like to do is talk to you, Michael, and kind of give us a rundown. How did you first get the knowledge you needed for what your VA loan or your VA benefits required? How did you find it? Is there an easy place to go? Where can people go to find that kind of information?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, starting out when my wife and I decided we wanted to buy a home, a really good resource, at least for the Air Force, is the Family and Readiness Center. Every installation is going to have it. It's a group of individuals you can go talk to, and they can just answer those questions about getting you set up with, hey, this is what you're going to need for a VA loan. This is how it kind of works. Go down, working with a specific lender and everything like that. Another online resource, Military One Source, they have everything.
Okay.
So VA loan can really kind of walk you through it. And then obviously the VA website for those non-active that don't have the ability to go to a base, talk to somebody in person. They can go to the VA website, get some information there, and kind of start you off.
Do you know? So you said the MyPay website, right?
It's My Purse. My Purse and MyPay will be able to provide you.
And if you're no longer an active duty member, do you still have access to that website?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. So your best bet once you're off active duty status is going to be the VA.
Got it.
So going through them to get your DD-214 and getting that proof of military service. That's going to be your best bet.
And the DD-214 is the proof that you
Yep.
actually served, and that's what we kind of use as a
It's
as
like
a benchmark.
discharge papers.
Yep.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Your
Okay.
record of service.
Record of service.
Yeah.
Got it. That's awesome.
And again, the term. Did you have to wait before you purchase your home? A year, 2 years? What was the timeline from when you enlisted and you actually?
So it's really great. It's 90 days.
Okay.
So once you start that active duty service, after 90 days, then that VA eligibility kicks in. So for me, I started at the beginning of 2020, waited a little bit because I had to go through training and everything, figure out where I was living. November 2020, I had already bought a house.
Okay, so boot camp, get situated, you have benefits.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is it when you talk about the on-base resources, do they have resources for housing specifically that members can use?
Yeah, absolutely. So they'll have a whole housing management office
Okay.
that handles off-base housing, but then also handles on-base housing. So obviously I went towards the off-base housing. That's where I asked my questions, got my resources. Sometimes, depending on the installation, they'll have some realtors that they'll work with and recommend to you. Obviously, that's up to you on your own if you want to decide, hey, I want to work with them, or if I want to go find my own realtor.
Up to you.
Yep.
You can use us.
Yep.
We provide the information.
And,
We'd love to
and
help
with
you
that
guys
said,
out.
I was part of a program when I was with ERA Herman
Yeah, it was-
Group.
yeah.
It was called Cardis, and they were all encompassing. And
Cardis it's the relocation.
right, they
Right,
did
yeah.
relocation, but it was also Navy Fed, USAA.
Mhm.
So I was, again, that's why general. I had to address the military as their ranking.
Yep.
That was part of the deal. So you can use who they assign you to, and really there's no perk, but we have a
Mhm.
set, rules that we have to follow.
Yep.
So you can use anybody, but obviously knowledge is power, like you always
Absolutely.
say. Use
Yeah.
someone that's done VA, that's familiar with it, and someone you like at the end of the day, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about it all the time, right? And you've gone through the home buying process a bunch. We get all up in your business,
Yep.
so you want to make sure that you guys are working with somebody that you don't want to necessarily punch in the face every time you get off the phone with them. And Mike and I were talking about this off camera, but he wanted to bring up the importance of, like Oscar said, interviewing
Yeah.
who you guys are going to work with, right, on the lending side and the realtor side. And it could be something as simple as asking what their VA experience is, how they handle certain situations, what their experience has been with previous clients. And that's what we want to give you guys and arm you guys with some of these questions and data points and things that you can use as you do go out into your house hunt, whether you're moving to Colorado, you're moving from Colorado to a different military base because you got deployed, stationed somewhere else. These are things that are essentially 100%, no matter where you go, if you're in the military around a VA loan, you can ask these questions, use this information, and hopefully, have a good experience with purchasing a home, because VA loans, like Collin said, are fantastic leverage.
Yeah.
So, Oscar, you want to ask Collin just kind of around the regulations?
I mean, what are some of the processes that you have to go to as far as, so we talked about the DD 214, and then there's eligibility. We talked about that. What else, or what do you look for initially going into the VA loan?
So you have your standard documents. We go income, taxes, driver's license, bank statements. All of that's just going to be standard no matter what the loan. And then when you specifically look to VA, like what we do in my team is we'll go try to pull your certificate of eligibility based off the information that we have. And we'll
so you
try
have
to
access to pull some of their stuff.
We
Make it
do.
easier for them.
Yeah, we do. And if for some reason we jump on the VA and the VA doesn't have their certificate of eligibility, then we'll get the DD 214 or whatever records that they have to then go submit that to the VA and get that pulled and kind of start the process for them. But the big thing for lenders is we try to just make it as easy as humanly possible, so that we do a lot of the heavy lifting and the legwork. And then whenever we need them, we'll call them and we'll ask them for whatever documents and kind of cross that bridge at that point.
And so before we go, before we move forward with this, I just have to say, with my prior experience, I know there's a stigma behind the VA, and it's usually on the medical side and getting your benefits there, or getting attention, or whenever you need medical attention. Any and every time that I've dealt with the VA, and I've gone with some of the active military and non-active to the VA, they've been phenomenal.
Yeah.
They were easy to work with. They knew they were there to help, and they were super, super, super informative and friendly. And it was just, we got it done.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, is there any difference in DTI, debt to income, and the LTV, loan to value? That's the biggest one, right? The
yeah.
LTV.
Yeah, so VA is the one of the few loans that you can go 0% down and do full loan to value. What they do is a funding fee with the VA because they don't charge mortgage insurance, and that's so that they can guarantee the loan for the veteran or active duty member.
Off the top of your head, do you know what the funding fee is?
The funding fee varies depending on whether you have disability or whether it's your first time ever using it, whether you have multiple uses, whether you have partial entitlement. So there's a percentage based on every single amount, and anywhere from I think the new peak is 2.15 and then all the way down to 0%.
So if you're talking funding fee, if you guys are, looking or going through this process or about to go through this process, they'll know that funding fee once they have the loan estimate, correct?
Yeah. Once we have the loan estimate, like by the time we've even given a loan estimate, we have all those numbers worked out because we've checked your eligibility. Yeah. We've seen what your entitlement is.
So if somebody goes to get pre-approved with you for a VA loan, within 3 days, they'll know what that funding fee is and incidentally know how much cash to close they're going to have.
Correct.
And as far as rates, are they comparable to conventional, FHA? How does that work?
They are more competitive than almost any other loan. Depending case by case, you'll get some situational stuff that's priced out well, but VA, and that's another just huge benefit for, again, our veterans and active duty members is they are priced super competitive to try and give the best opportunities to our service members and take care of them the best that we can.
So 100% financing, no mortgage insurance, and competitive rates.
Yeah.
If you don't use your benefits, please do. You've earned them. You've earned them. They're yours.
Let's give a real life example, and I'm going to put you both on the spot. But Michael, you bought a house in August.
Yep.
Townhome. Do you remember what your rate was?
5.125%.
So 5.125 in August of 2022. You remember what rates were for a conventional in August?
August of 2022.
We were in high
I
fives,
lost
5.875.
2 listings and 8 buyers, so we were like in the high sixes, maybe 7.25.
It was
they
high.
were stupid.
It was high, and Michael got in at a 5. What was it, a 5?
5.125.
5.125. Right.
Yep.
So when Oscar says that VA rates are competitive, we mean VA rates. VA rates are very competitive. I think right now I looked, and Collin, I don't know if you have the exact stats, great. If not, no big deal. You guys should look it up. But right now we're hovering at about a 7 after yesterday's Fed announcement on a conventional loan. VAs are at like a 6.2.
Yeah.
Which that makes a massive difference when you talk about your monthly income and the fact that you can put 0 down and not have mortgage insurance from your monthly payment
Mortgage
standpoint.
insurance is huge. Even FHA just dropped, but still, you're saving $100 with the drop, but altogether you're still paying another $200, depending on situational, right? So with VA, you're saving $300 to $400 a month, depending on the purchase price.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and not only did FHA mortgage insurance drop, but in early April, the VA funding fee is also dropping by a few percentage points.
Really?
So, yeah, it's just going to continue to save more people money.
cheaper.
That's going to make me a new TikTok video.
That is, Oscar's on TikTok. Oscar the realtor, if you guys didn't know that already.
You know what? I'm new to TikTok. I'm new to all that stuff. I'm excited. I get like 10 likes and I get excited. And Charlie's like, dude, you got 10 likes. Calm the hell down.
Hey, that's 10 people that enjoy
That's 10 people that like my video. Come on.
So to wrap this up, Collin, real quick, what I want to ask is, and Oscar alluded to it a little bit, there is a stigma from a seller standpoint and a hesitancy to accept a VA offer. I've seen it. Oscar's seen it. Charlie's seen it. Give me just a quick overview of why the regulations are a little bit more stringent on VA loans and why people shouldn't be scared.
So the reason why VA is, I guess strict is is a better word to use, is because they are doing it to protect their people. They're doing it to make sure that they're not going to get put into bad situations or become house poor, not be able to afford the payments. So there's different things. So like one is you can't use future income with a VA loan. They are tighter around the appraisal process because they don't want a veteran or active duty member to get into a home that maybe has flaws that other loans can pass through. There's a lot of just stricter guidelines around a VA loan, but at the same time, once you get past those, they are one of the strongest loans,
Right.
Because they've been vetted severely,
Right.
and just to continue to help their
And with
our
that
service
said,
members.
it's stricter on the financing side, not for them.
Yeah,
Not for
them.
Not for them. For them, it's they're making sure they're getting something that's you're going to move in. You're going to be good. You're in a good situation.
Yep.
On the veteran side or on the active military side, they're getting something that's kosher, something that they could just move in and they're not going to have troubles with. On our side is where it's a little more difficult. On the real estate side, it's the inspection, right?
Right.
It has to be move-in ready.
Yep.
I mean, you can't buy something that
Needs a new deck,
fix and flip,
has
stuff like
foundation
that.
issues.
It has to be ready for his or her family just to move in, and they're set. So it's stricter on our industry, but once it's delivered, it's going to get done.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing, is because there is a stigma out there about how VAs are tougher to get done. But the only reason that would even happen is maybe an appraisal comes back bad. And if appraisal comes back bad in a VA,
That's all loans, though, right?
Yeah,
that's all loans. I mean, Mike, what was your experience? Was it difficult on the document collection part, or dealing with the VA, or getting your veteran, or you're still active?
Yep.
Your paperwork to turn in, was it pain, or was it just just what they asked for you were able to grab, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like in my experience, I've done 2 VA loans now in the past 3 years, and it's been super simple. The lender asks for a certain documentation. Everything's really easy for me to get. It's all online. You get your pay stub, you get your DD-214 to prove your active duty or your military service. And then bank accounts, very, very simple. Obviously, working with the right people helps. But as far as like the VA, I never even talked to the VA.
Yeah.
I've never had any experience with them because I'm active duty. And I've gotten 2 homes and I'm like, wow, I got 2 homes already?
Right. Exactly.
It was like a snap of the finger, and that was it.
So would the Marine Corps be
But
able to? I mean,
I can't speak for them.
I'm just kidding. I just said that because a lot of my friends.
I'm going to throw this out there. He said it.
I'm just saying
he said it.
He is the Air Force.
He said
it.
He said it.
Space Force.
Space Force. He is Space Force. So
Semper Supra, always above.
Listen, yeah.
always above.
Oscar, hey, you know what? Stay away from bodies of water for the foreseeable future. You just put a target.
I mean, across the board, the military, they're going to take care of you. I mean, I joke around because a lot of my friends are either Army or the Marine Corps, and we have fun.
Yeah.
They tear into me all the time. So I got to give them shit right now. They're not here, but they're good people. Space Force, they're the smartest or the smarter ones. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding.
Again,
it's not.
This is all Oscar.
It's
Oscar
not-
Ibarra,
with this one.
OscarTheRealtor.com. If you guys have any complaints whatsoever.
No, come see me. Come see me. I'll buy you a drink. No, but it's not. It's not brain surgery. I mean, it's the same collection of documents, and the VA will take care of you, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at. It's not going to be really hard, and your
It's
process
more
is good.
thinking about it and hearing about it is more daunting than actually doing it.
Yeah.
When you get down to it and the lender says, "Hey, I need this," you're like, "Oh, that's all you need?"
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Right.
So in your experience with your 2 moves, can you just kind of go over real quick just a couple of things? And again, look at it from the standpoint of somebody that's never gone through this process before. What are some things that they can potentially prepare for, whether it's expectations, documents, et cetera, that they can get ready to make the process as smooth as possible?
All your financial paperwork. So making sure that you have your LES, which is the equivalent of a military pay stub. Everybody has access to that. You get it twice a month.
Okay.
Very simple to access.
Yep.
Your
And you can
DD
access that via
MyPay.
Okay.
Yep, that's the website. My PERS will have your DD-214. For active duty, you might think it's a little weird because that's what you'll normally get when you separate
Sure.
or when you retire. But all it is saying, hey, I'm serving in the military. I've served in the military. Blender's going to want that from you.
Okay.
And then bank statements. That honestly, and then if you have your spouse or your partner or somebody coming in on the loan with you, just make sure you have all their financial documents as well. I didn't have to jump through any crazy hoops, but I made sure that I had all those documents ready. This way, when Collin, who did my loan,
Yep.
my last loan, when he called and he said, hey, I need this, I need that. Cool. Here it is. Super simple.
And we talked about it off camera, but if you have to get something like, the DD, what is it, the DD
214.
right? When you go on the website, there's no waiting period.
You put the
click on
request
it,
in,
you put the request in.
and then it comes to you.
Right. So it's not even like somebody has to plan ahead and go, okay, I'm going to need this in 3 weeks. You guys can get it.
Yep.
If you have access.
For sure.
And there is resources, because if you do Google it, there is, I think, third parties that will try to help you, and they're like, well, we'll mail it to you within a week, or we'll get it in its timelines. But if you know where to go,
Yep.
who to access them from, it's immediate.
Now,
Exactly.
it could be different if you're either retired or discharged.
Right. So if you're retired or discharged, you're going to go through the VA for that, because
Yep.
then you're not going to have access to the MyPERS website, but you're going to go through your VA,
Mhm.
va.com, I think is
Yeah.
honestly what it is. And then it's a pretty similar process.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, General, but there is people allocated within the VA to help
Yeah,
veterans, right?
for sure. For sure.
Like
And-
liaisons for all this.
Absolutely. One thing that a lot of military people don't take into account is all the resources that we have.
Mhm.
And you go to those people, they're paid to help you.
Right.
You know, take advantage of those resources for these VA loans. They're ready to help you. They'll pull your DD
Yeah.
214.
They do this all day.
Exactly.
I think it's almost paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
You have so many different resources to go to.
Yep.
You don't really know where to start.
Well,
For sure.
again, this is another segment of what real estate is, right?
Yes.
The general, the masses, the consumer, they don't do this every day.
Right.
So it's deer in headlights. All right, now
Mhm.
what do I do? Same in the military, right? You're in the military to serve one thing,
Yeah.
and then when it comes outside of that realm, well, now what do I do?
Mhm.
Right.
That's what the VA's in place for, and
So we're in place for as well.
yeah, that's what we're in place for. If you dealt with VAs, you know what? There's liaisons for this. If you're not active duty, if you're active duty, we've helped other active duties. This is what they did, and know that the VA is there to help them, or this is how you acquire those documentations. It's not hard, but it is something new to you.
Mhm.
That's what this podcast is about, right?
Yeah.
Then the VA part of this is to educate our men and women that's out there fighting for us.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, and I think lean on those individuals, right? And
For sure.
Michael said it a couple times. It matters who you guys work with.
Yep.
And again, we'd love to tout and say, hey, use us when you can, but our ultimate goal is to make sure you guys are armed with the ability to ask the right questions of your lender and your realtor. And we understand that, buying a home or selling, either one is a daunting experience regardless, right?
That's
It
what
doesn't
we're here
matter
for,
if you've
though.
done it one time, 10 times, you've never done it before. So lean on those individuals.
Yeah.
Because we're here to guide, right? If we don't know the answer, we'll go find it. If we do know the answer, Oscar's got a great story, and I don't think he can tell it in 2 minutes. Otherwise, I'd let him. Where he had to knock down the door of a bank
They restricted me on time.
to get VA benefits for one of his clients, and that is what our job is.
It was a wonderful experience.
You know what I
I
mean?
sat there literally with the VA manager, and she got on the phone with the bank that I was using and said, "No, this is going to happen."
Mhm.
And they said, "Well, you need to talk to someone at the VA." And she said, "I am the VA."
Yep.
They're your advocate.
Yep. And that's our goal, right? Like, we're going to beat this horse to death, but as a military member, like, you guys have been in the trenches, and we thank you for your service. Let us repay that just by fighting for you guys on, buying or selling a house. Like, that's
We're
what our
here for
job
you.
is. And
Appreciate it.
and we want to make sure that, if you don't hear from us, it's an easy process, and we want to make it as simple as we possibly can and give you guys as much information as we can. So, that being said, there are quirks to every transaction, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure we all have stories of different things that have happened. So, and we can start calling with you. When we talk about a VA loan, what are some of the unique things that you guys look at that are different than like a conventional or an FHA? And I know you touched on it earlier, but debt to income is different on a VA loan.
Yeah. So debt to income is a big thing around, let's say, conventional loans or FHA loans. It's measured as a certain percentage. Now that number can change depending on the credit file. But let's say for a conventional loan, best case scenario, your back end max you can go to is a 50% debt to income. What your back end debt to income is all of your debts, monthly debts, credit cards, car
Anything on
payments,
credit.
anything
On
that
credit.
reports to the credit bureaus as a monthly payment, in addition to the mortgage, combined against your income. And that's the big thing there. when you talk about VA loans, you can move that number. And that's because they use something called a residual calculator. A residual calculator calculates household. So how many people are within your household, kids, wives, or spouses.
Kind of like a
husbands.
affordability program.
Right. Yeah. So what they want to do is they want to take into what they think the upkeep of the house is going to be, what each family member, to make sure that there's money that's to be able to support your family. And then they still add in your monthly debts and different things like that. So we see debt to income ratios. I mean, I could give you a crazy number, but to make myself sound have plausible deniability here is, I mean, we've done
We love
loans.
plausible deniability.
Yeah, we've done loans with 60%.
Especially in the
debt to
Space
income.
Force area who can't tell us what he does.
Exactly. Yeah. We've done loans with 60% debt to income and some even higher.
Yeah.
Just
Mine wasn't that high.
no, it was not.
So is it still based off credit like other loans?
So credit definitely plays a part. Credit plays a part into what your rate's going to be. Credit plays a part into maybe some tighter guidelines that happen. We can go all the way down to 500 credit score. We have to get it manually underwritten with my company. But typically you'll see the 580 is kind of your range. 580 and above, you can get a lot done.
So real quick, I
And that's it. And
I want to
580 is great.
I want to highlight that,
That's
though, right?
low.
Because there's a lot of people, and we talk about credit all the time on this podcast. And one thing, there's a lot of people just don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are afraid of their credit, and they have in their head, because they use CreditWise or Credit Karma, whatever, saying that I either can afford more than I think I can afford, or my credit's trash and I can't afford anything. So the fact that when Collin says credit's just a part of the whole equation, and they've done loans as low as a 500 credit score, yeah, your rate's going to be higher, right? But it is a possibility. So depending on you guys' goals, especially from a VA standpoint, I guess the point I want to make is it doesn't hurt to ask and to figure out. If you are hell-bent on, hey, I want to buy a home for my family, for myself, whatever it is, but hey, my credit score is under 600. Well, we just heard 580 is when you start getting, but you can go all the way down to 500.
And 580, there's been some issues there, major issues.
Sure.
I mean, 580 is, I mean,
You're talking,
collections, repos,
payments,
stuff like that.
yeah.
There's a whole nother segment we could do on that. I mean, foreclosures, short sales. I mean, 3 years after, you could still do it. 580 is a very, very low credit score. Obviously, if you have lower, we'll give you a game plan. We'll give you a game plan so you can get up there. But 580 is super attainable. If you just paid your credit cards on time or whatever's on credit on time, you should at least be high sixes, low sevens. So to be a 580, there's been some hardships, and it happens to everybody.
Everybody's got them.
Everybody's had them.
Everybody has them.
And to be a 580, it's going to be some major hardships.
Yep.
So just inquire on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
You don't
use
know if you
your
don't
benefits.
ask, right? Like
You don't know if you don't ask.
Nope.
Well, and one of the big things, especially with myself and my team, is we don't take no for an answer. Like, I know that I've caught myself into bad situations, and my own credit score has been severely compromised. And so, like, we understand that stuff, and to try and
We're not
work
going to judge
with all
you on your
these
credit
people.
score.
Yeah, no,
We're going to help you.
It's a number.
Life
At the end of the day,
happens.
It's a number.
Yeah,
it's
life
just a
happens.
number.
Absolutely.
Right. And so the answer is, how do we get you through it? And the other thing with being a lender is, like, we're almost financial advisors to kind of take a look at the big picture of, hey, worst case scenario, we can't get this done right this second, but we're going to tell you, and we're going to create a battle plan of how we're going to get it done. You create time frames, create different things that you're going to do. Yeah.
That does credit repair.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. We
So,
have a specific team that
again,
does that.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt Collin, but it is very important that I want you guys to understand that if you have, subprime credit, it's okay, right? Like, that is why we are here. And, we want to, in Collin's explanation of, hey, here's how we get this done, let's transition and ask you, Michael, you've gone through it twice now. What are some of the things to expect, when working with a lender? Have you guys run into, unique hurdles or different things that people should be aware of?
Was it a pain in your butt?
Yeah.
No, definitely not a pain in my butt. Was it nervous? Yeah.
Right.
Was it exciting?
It's
Absolutely.
an unknown.
Yeah.
Unless
for
you're
sure.
buying Ferraris every day, it's a big.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Have you
Big
personally
step.
run into anything that's kind of quirky or weird or different that people should be aware of?
the one big thing that we noticed was the longer wait time.
Okay.
You know, I think VA is about 45-day close or so.
Okay.
Just because the appraisals are a little farther out.
Yeah.
Depending.
I mean, situations can definitely happen.
Yeah. So I think when I was going through it,
Yep.
VA was kind of backed up for appraisals.
Sure.
Yeah.
So then it was like, all right, we're waiting. Because I know that with the VA, they want to be more stringent. They want to have our backs as military members so that we're waiting for that appraisal to come in.
Mhm.
Is that appraisal going to come in close to what we're paying?
Right.
You know, so that was a little nervous, you know, waiting
Something
for
to be
that.
prepared
So
for. Yeah.
But
the appraisal is going to be a little more stringent,
yeah,
and the inspection, right?
Yep,
There's different guidelines on both. Again, the house has to be move-in ready.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they have our backs, which
Mhm.
is a good thing to know because I don't want to move into a house that, you know, 2 months down the road, I find out that it's air conditioning's not working.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
the floor is going to fall out.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, and the inspection period is different, right? Because in VA, and I think this is different than conventional. Oscar will fight me on this because he did have an appraiser that thought he was an inspector, but that's a different story.
I know. I'm gonna fight you. I want to fight him.
But when you talk about an inspection period on a house, and we
Yeah.
did one on your house actually,
Yep.
right? That is, you can have any inspector
Right.
go through the house and give you things that need to be done, should be done, et cetera, et cetera. You go through that entire negotiation process. But from a VA standpoint, the appraisers are looking almost like inspectors as well, because
Right.
they're looking at what we call habitability,
Yep.
right? So in your case, you know, we did a full inspection on your place and there was a couple of things that we wanted to get fixed.
Mhm.
But then the appraiser would come in, and if they had seen different things, that would be something that would be on the seller's plate
Right.
or a negotiation piece of the transaction.
Right.
Because so the inspector may or may not put stuff in their notes that has to go to the underwriter, but
Right.
the appraiser is hired by the lending company.
Yep.
That goes directly to the underwriter. So they're going to look for stuff that may or may not be on the inspection stuff, right?
Yep.
So they're the ones that look at that. Which I'm going to ask again. We're talking about the quirky things. You said you're on your second home.
Yep.
So we need to tell everybody that you don't have to, just because you use your benefits once,
Right.
they don't go away.
No.
They'll replenish. It's like a purse, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what does that look like?
So for me, we bought our first home. We ended up selling it. And then when I went to go buy my second one, I was like, oh, I can still use the VA loan. It's not like, you know,
It
use
wasn't
it
a one and done.
One-time
it's
deal
not
and
a
you're done.
one-time deal. The great thing is you can use it multiple times. I've heard people, you know, 5, 6, 7 different VA loans. So that's a great thing that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I used my VA loan. I'm
Right.
done.
Yep.
No, you can absolutely use it more than once. And then correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but you can use it and have another one active as well, as long as you're under a certain threshold of money price.
Mhm.
There's
that
an
you can
allotted
support.
amount
Yep.
that you
Yeah.
get as a benefit.
Right. Yeah. There's a X amount that says an entitlement, and you can split that entitlement up among multiple properties if you needed to.
Yeah.
So if you do that, and I'm just asking you guys, right? So if you split it amongst it, do you have to cover the difference?
Yes.
So I think that's something important because I'm going to go back to interest rates real quick.
Yeah.
5.125, right?
Yep.
We're at high 6s, 7s right now.
Yeah.
One of the big things we had, and I looked up the statistic, Statman,
Mm-hmm.
last week. So 60% of outstanding mortgages, and this encompasses everything, VA, conventional, FHA, are under 5.5%
Wow.
right now in the United States, which is why we have this, I call it the great stalemate a couple episodes ago,
Yeah.
where people just don't want to move
Yeah.
because they don't want to go and get, hey, I'm going to sell my primary residence and upgrade, but I'm going from a 4.25 to a 7. Well, VA loans are unique because they can be assumable,
Yep.
right? So, Collin, I don't know how much experience you have with assumable loans, but the big thing to understand is if you are a veteran and you have entitlements, you can assume a VA loan
Yeah.
on a primary residence and get it at that interest rate. If it's a 3.25
Service member to service member.
service member to
Yep.
service member, you just have to come up with the distance. Is that correct? The difference.
So,
It does eat up at that purse, though, right?
Yes.
wow. Okay. So here's the deal with assumable loans. All loans are assumable.
You thought you were going to get away with an easy question.
All loans are assumable. The specific thing where it gets weird with VA loans is a VA member to a VA member switches entitlement. So you're assuming
General.
Michael's loan, you're going to assume his entitlement. If you're another VA member, you'll just flop it to yours. The kicker is if you get a non-veteran, non-service member, then you would be eating up Michael's entitlement. So if it were to be just I don't want to say a random person, but just somebody that doesn't have entitlement, and you were to assume Michael's loan, now his entitlement is tied up in that loan until they either refi or they sell the home. So assumable loans are tricky, and I get that they are a hot topic, especially in today's rate environment. They're definitely possible, and they are amazing if you can get one done.
So what's the benefit on an assumable? Let's let them know why we're talking about the assumable.
Yeah, so assumable means you're taking over the loan that they had previously.
With the rate.
So if they had a loan that was a 3% interest rate, you can assume that 3% interest rate. The technical,
which is huge. It's huge for marketing of the property.
Yeah.
It's huge for the acquisition of that property.
Yeah.
But it has to make sense.
100%. The only technical part is you just have to cover the difference of whatever the net equity is. So if their loan's $300,000, they're selling the house for $500,000, you have to come up with that $200,000 either in cash or have somebody that can do a second loan on that difference.
Or a great example is transferred equity, right? I'm selling a house and I have $200,000 to play with, and there's a assumable loan on the table. Hey, I will get that $300,000 because I'm buying a $500,000 house.
Right.
Now I'm getting it for 3%, and I'm just transferring the equity of the sale of my home into that, and I'm set.
Yep, and I think that's a good point to make, because right now, even with the interest rate rise over the last, since August, September, we still have record amount of equity in the United States as far as homes go, right?
100%.
So this is more for, VA eligible individuals if they have a current residence that can then sell their residence and use that equity to make up the difference.
Yeah.
It's huge. So if you're looking to upgrade, obviously if you're a first-time home buyer and you're using VA, it's a little bit more difficult unless you have a stash of cash. But this is for those individuals that have a primary residence, have lived in it maybe for 5, 6, 7 years and want to upgrade, have $300,000 or $400,000 in equity because of the run-up of home prices, especially here in Colorado. They can then take that, use that net proceed, and then put that towards the difference of the home, or even put part of it towards the difference and get a second loan so they can leverage that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
And as long as we're on the topic of the purse, the story that I was going to tell that I'm going to go in detail because Jameson will throw some at me.
Facts.
So the client
I'm gonna throw a creamy mouthful at you.
the client had a foreclosure or a short sale on it. So there was the allocated amount that he bought for the home. Let's use $100,000 for example.
Yep.
So he has a purse of, again, for the sake of this conversation, $500,000 to play with. That's his entitlement, right? So he used $100,000 to buy this house a few years back, lost it to a short sale or foreclosure. Now all they did was take that $100,000 out of that purse, but he still had $400,000 to play with. He still has $400,000 that's entitled to him to use in whatever he wants to buy another home. It doesn't ding him. It doesn't say, no, you can't use your VA benefits anymore. Your VA benefits are still there. You're just not going to be able to use the $100,000.
Yeah. Well, and there's situations that arise for anything. And I cannot, and I know you guys have talked about this at length, is when you're working with somebody who either A, knows the answers or will find you the answers, you never want to feel like you're working with somebody that you're having to do a lot of the legwork for. And working with a good team that'll kind of give you all the options and the best options to suit your needs. And maybe it is an assumable loan. So maybe it's not an assumable loan. Maybe it's VA. Maybe it's somebody who's already done VA but has their entitlement tied up, and we'll find different solutions for you to get you into another loan. Like, no matter what, the question is, the point is to get presented multiple options and find whatever is going to be best for you, and then talk through it with them to make sure that they understand it, and you're just getting the best situation you possibly can.
Again, beating a dead horse. Knowledge is power. If you don't know, ask. And it's going to be, every file is different, but there's going to be stressors in it. Our job as realtors and as lenders
Mhm.
is to make that stress level as minimal as possible.
And if that involves drinking bourbon with us,
You know what? We'll buy the bottle.
so be it,
Cheers.
right?
Yeah. Amen.
So I want to book at this conversation because this has been very information dense, and I appreciate both of you guys' insights. One of the things that comes to my mind when it comes to just military members in general
Mhm.
is moving,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
because
You guys don't move a lot, do you?
yeah, it's never right. You never move.
once in a while.
So
Only
if
3 years,
we
3
if
times
we
3
have
years.
somebody that's listening or watching that wants to purchase a residence, but then goes, man, what if I get deployed in the next 3 years? What do I do? You, and
Mhm.
this is why I want to end with this because I think it's a perfect scenario. We bought your house in August,
Yep.
right? And where are you going?
I'm going to Italy.
You're going to Italy, baby.
Woo.
You still can't tell us what you're doing there,
No.
but you're going to
That's
Italy.
classified.
And when do you guys move?
September.
So you'll have been in your residence for essentially a year and a month.
Yep.
So if that's the case, what do you have to say to military members that are hesitant about buying something
Mhm.
and then saying, well, what do I do if I have to move within a year?
Yeah. So obviously you can always sell.
Which we talked about.
We
Decided-
we definitely talked about. Obviously, prices didn't go up. It wasn't the right option for us. Great thing with military is homes.mil.
Okay.
A lot of military members don't know about this. This is a rental site vetted by your military base housing office. They literally will go to your house, make sure that it's up to par for a military member to rent it out. Then you can list it on that site. Hardly anybody know about it. Like they all
That's
go to
huge.
Zillow.
So what-
They
one
I
more
go
didn't
to
time,
know
so
about
Facebook.
hold
that.
on.
That is huge.
One more time. I want to highlight this for you guys. What is
Yeah.
it?
Homes.mil.
Homes.
Vetted by military resource, the housing management office, the manager will go out. They will check that home, make sure it is up to snuff for that military member. And then they will, before it's even listed on that, then they will put it on there. So with us, we're renting our house out now. I put it on homes.mil. I had to go talk to the housing manager office. Tell them, hey, this is everything that is. This is what we're including. All the specifics of her house. She had to come out, check out the neighborhood, check out the house before she let it go on the site. So that's a really, really,
Which
really
is
great
insane
resource.
because you go to Zillow
Oh.
and you get a 3D tour and some pictures taken on a
Yep.
Motorola Razor, and you go, well, I don't know, do I want to live here? Does this enough to support my family? But the
Yeah.
important piece is Michael owns his primary residence.
Yep.
And there's not a restriction on him renting it out,
No.
even though he bought it with VA benefits.
That's
Right.
huge. That's huge. And a quick plug for us is that there's 2 bases 30 minutes away from him. Colorado Springs is 40 minutes.
Mhm.
Buckley's 20, 30. So there's a lot of active and non-active military
Yep.
here. You have to know what you're talking about.
Yep.
And that's huge. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he's going to go to Italy, do his things, come back. He still has a home, either now investment, or he comes back and the lease is up. He still has his house.
Yeah.
And that's
There's
the big thing,
options.
right? Because
Yeah.
people are nervous. Hey, I'm going to buy a house, but if I get deployed, what do I do?
Mhm.
And essentially what you're saying is you guys have a vetting office
Yeah.
that allows you to rent.
Yep.
And now you guys took a look at rental rates in the area and
Mhm.
decided based on, what you guys were your mortgage payment, HOAs, utilities, so on and so forth, and found a rental price that worked for you guys.
Yeah.
But again, and Collin, back me up, there's not a restriction on being able to rent out a house if you have a VA loan on it.
No.
Right?
Well, let me touch on when you start the process for your VA loan, it has to be your primary residence.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I can't get a VA loan and say, hey,
Yes.
I'm in Colorado, but I'm going to use my VA loan on a beach condo in Florida.
Correct.
Right.
So
Which
that,
is where
that
that's
is one
and
stimulation.
that
right
goes
there.
back to those regulations that
Yep.
they want to make sure, right?
Yeah.
And they want to make sure people aren't buying up rental units for $0 down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Using
If it's your
But
departing
now-
residence, totally.
Yeah.
Now, this was your primary residence. You have to wait till the lease is up. So if you go hang out on the beach of Florida while this is being paid off, not a restriction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there is options. You're not 100% tied, and you do have options. And then there's the ultimate option. You could always sell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we talked about
Right.
that. That's why I wanted Michael to talk about it because, like I said, we bought the house in August and we had conversations around, does it make sense to sell? And
Yeah.
really, it didn't, right? For how quick they were moving, where home prices were, having them rent it out. And I didn't know about the website. And one more time, for those of you in the back, what is it?
Homes.mil with the S. HOMES.mil.
Not like whiskey without the E. It's homes with
George
the S.
Dickel.
.mil.
Yeah.
Super important. And it was an open and honest conversation. And they are now in a position where they're going to have a rental while they're in Sicily.
Yep.
Hunting aliens.
On deployment, hunting aliens.
Hunting
Right?
aliens.
So
and it's
it's just-
aliens not from Earth.
Yep.
So you could rest assured.
So it's one of those things where we just want to make sure you guys know you have options. It's not, if you do buy a residence and you are living in it and then something happens and you get deployed, you get promoted or something changes, it's not the end of the world. And on top of that, we now know that there's resources that you guys can use as military members that will actually help you rent it out and vet it, do all those different
And
things.
that's just it. I don't think the military knows how many resources they have.
Mhm.
They have way more resources than your average American.
Yep.
You just do. That's why we spend so much money on our military. They're gonna take care of you. The stigma of the healthcare is ridiculous. I'm sure there's a lot going on there, but outside of that, you have resources, tons of them.
For
Cool,
sure.
guys. Well, listen, I, for one, have learned a ton.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a rental.
Like,
I didn't know that.
there are some cool things we talked
And
about.
I've been in the
Gentlemen,
industry for a long time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on and
Yeah.
sharing your wealth of knowledge. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
So hopefully you guys watching have learned something and taken away something. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do a one rock takeaway, and essentially it's just a very quick 1 or 2 sentence biggest thing you guys either learned or took away or want somebody to take away from. And I'm going to start with Oscar Ibarra over here to start us off.
Been in the industry for a long time. I've been part of the active military vetted agents. I didn't know there was a rental. There was an option for that.
It's crazy.
I always
It's
offered
huge.
the option.
Yep.
I don't go in and say, hey, I'm going to list your house just
Yeah.
to list it. Now that I know that there's a vetted personnel that's going to go in and say, hey, we're going to go look at your property. We're going to get another enlisted or military personnel in there. That's awesome. That's my one rock takeaway. You
Love it.
always have options, and that's a new one for me.
Love it. Collin?
Yeah. Make sure you vet your people that you're working with, and know that there's other options out there, rather than just the one that's given to you.
Love it.
And this is Collin excited, by the
Yeah.
way. That's him excited.
Kermit the Frog voice. That's okay.
He's excited right now. Just-
Colin the Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
When we
Hey, you
post
get-
this video, I'm just going to superimpose. I'll get a
Listen,
flannel.
yeah, one thing about me is you get one speed, and
That's true.
you'll never be
Yeah,
caught off
very true.
guard.
Yeah.
That some other guy is going to be coming because it's just going to be
Predictability,
one.
baby.
Yeah, the consistency is key.
Michael, what about you, man?
Use your resources.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not use your resources. Use your resources. There's so many out there. That was one thing that why my family and why we joined them.
Yeah.
Because there are so many resources.
Love it.
So that's my big thing.
Love it. Mine is get rid of the stigma around VA loans. It's come up a couple times over these last few months. I'll leave you with this takeaway. Finance loans. Sorry, let's do this opposite. Cash offers and cash purchases are 7 times more likely to fall under and fall out of contract than finance loans. That scenario is even larger when you take into account VA and FHA loans because of how stringent they are. And my rock takeaway is knowing that the VA loans are there and the requirements are there to protect our military members and make sure that they're making the right decision.
Yep.
So that's mine.
Awesome.
So thanks,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right, now the fun part, right? And we got to do this a little bit because our producer's yelling at us. We're taking
He's
too long,
waving his
but hey,
arms.
it's been a ton of information. So if you guys are still sticking with us, thank you. We are looking at. Do you want some? Yeah, that's what
he
I thought.
He wants a little bit
The
more
hand.
nickel. So while he's pouring him,
We
I'm
got to do our rock rating.
so again, the less amount of rocks, the better the bourbon or whiskey.
Yep.
Okay.
So and that goes with if the juice is trash, you're going to put a bunch of ice.
Yep.
If it's good, you're going to want a neat or maybe 1 rock, right? So the less rocks, the better.
Yeah.
This one, I kind of take in consideration the whole gamut of what this is. The story is not too crazy. Bit of a rebel. It's been around for a while. Markability, you don't hear a lot out here in Colorado about it, but down in the Midwest, South, there's more George Dickel going on. It's whatever.
Whatever.
It's for the price point and flavor. It's solid. It's not too complex. It's pretty clean. It's pretty subtle. Really simple. Gets the job done. And, all in all, I'm gonna include the price point. I'm gonna give it a 4. There's nothing that I'm like, I don't like it. But price point, flavoring, you get what you get. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.
Cool. Colin?
The rock rating, is there a max and minimum here?
1 in 10.
1 to 10.
Yep.
And this
10
is
being
we're not using like Sonic Ice and dumping things there.
Yeah.
100.
10 being, you
1500.
siphon some unleaded gas out of your car, and it's like, this is crap.
Yeah. For example, I think we rated the Old Granddad, which was so far the worst whiskey we've had, at like a 7.
man, I don't like to hear that.
Yeah. That was like
Only because, okay, so my take on the Granddad was I watched that video, everything explanation, until you guys actually tried it. So the explanation was like, man, I'd have to try that.
Yes.
So
And then you tried it.
without
and it was trash.
context,
You're welcome.
I see where you're
You're
coming
welcome,
from.
Granddad.
So,
You
yeah.
got some people buying some bottles.
Yeah.
But
Sponsors.
Bonded is great. Anyway, so based on that, it's 1 to 10. What do you got?
I'm going to steal Oscar's 4 rating.
Okay.
And I would say that I would 1000% drink this straight. However, I know that adding a few rocks to it would definitely make it. And I am a whiskey and cola guy. So I can already tell that this with some cola would be a 10 out of 10.
It would be a tailgate drink.
It would be
Absolutely.
amazing.
100% tailgate.
Yeah.
I mean, we've said it in the past. Jack belongs in Coke.
Yeah.
Tailgate.
This in Coke, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
100%.
So 4. So we got a 4 and a 4.
4.
Michael? General?
Thank you.
General.
General Jessen.
I know why you guys turned off the heat in here, because they wanted it served cold. So now that I'm freezing, it tastes a little bit better.
40 chill, baby.
Yeah.
Insider secrets.
It's a high up today, too.
No, I'm thinking 3 rocks.
Really?
I don't know
Nice.
if it's
That's
just coming up
Drinkability.
to me.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit easier to take down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with 3 rocks.
3 rocks? All right. Perfect. I am going to, if I take price into account and I can buy this bottle for like $27, it's smooth. And I'm going to compare it with a couple of
Larceny?
$20 to $30 bottles that we've had. It reminds me of Larceny.
It's cleaner than Larson.
It's a little bit cleaner than Larceny. So I think we gave you guys gave Larceny a
I think I can get a 4 or 3.
4 or 3.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with like a 4.5. I can drink it neat. I could put this in cola. It warms me to the center of my soul. It's just it doesn't have a complexity
Jesus.
to it, right? You get what you get. It's like Colin's monotone. Like it's coming.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
It's from start to finish.
Straight and easy.
That is where it is.
Yeah.
You know what
So-
you're getting with Collin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you excited or are you not excited? You know what you're going to get.
Hey, our
Yeah.
producer gives it a 5. So Charlie, who you guys have
gives it a
seen,
5.
right? He's producing today. He gave it a 5. I'm just gonna word it for him. The same reasons, all the reasons. He gives it a 5 because he's not on camera, but he gives it a 5. So, well, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on
Yes.
and
Thank you.
spending some
Thank
time
you.
with us and displaying some knowledge. Hopefully, you guys watching at home have gotten something from it, especially if you guys are military members. Please reach out to us. And when I say that, I'm going to give you guys our contact information. So if you guys want to call us at the Mile High Perspective on YouTube, the Mile High Perspective, search us. We introduced last week. We dropped the YouTube channel a couple days ago, so it is live. The Mile High Perspective. If you guys want to get a hold of us via email, it is resotr@milehighperspective.com. Phone number, which goes to all 3 of us, is 303-578-0263. Bring that. You'll get a hold of one of us, and we'll be able to help you out. We'd love to help you guys in your journey. And then, Collin, how can people get a hold of you if they want to take a look at some lending options for VA?
Yeah, so you can Google Collin Keenan, New American Funding online. You will find a picture of a bald guy. I clearly have hair now.
It was the whiskey.
Listen, they said I come at the monotone. I do like to throw some flavor in there,
I love it.
Kind of change my
I love
style
it.
a little
I love
bit.
it. I
But
love it.
720-202-5399. Call me, text me. If you have any questions at all, even if you're not ready to buy now, I'm more than happy to help.
Website, email.
Email Collin Keenan, Collin.Keenan, COLLIN, period, KEENAN at NAFINC.com. That's nafhomes.inc. And then you can check out my website. It's Collin Keenan at newamericanfunding.com.
And if you want to hit us on the social media, because Oscar's involved in TikTok, Oscar the Realtor.
On
everything.
across the board. Oscar the Realtor, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Beautiful. And I am found at the Colorado Real Estate Guy on all the same platforms. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, for listening. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much.
General, thank you. Thank you for your service.
For instilling it. And let's
Commodore.
cheers it and catch us next week, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.